Greetings again, everyone, and welcome to another episode of OSI Today, the podcast featuring news and views from around the Office of Special Investigations. I'm Wayne Amon from OSI Public Affairs. August 1st, 2023, marks the 75th anniversary of OSI's inception. Throughout the year, the command is commemorating the occasion based on the theme, Inspired by Our Past, OSI's Future Starts Today. And with me to discuss how the 8th Field Investigations Region fits into that scenario is Region 8 Commander, Colonel Seth Miller. Colonel, welcome aboard to the program. So great to have you chatting with us today.
Oh, thank you very much, Wayne. I'm excited to be here with you.
So let's dive into it, shall we? With a little bit of background to get our kind of novice listeners acclimated to Region 8. Your region, Region 8, is headquartered out of Colorado Springs, Colorado, with field agents at nearly 24 locations across the United States. Your region supports two branches of our armed forces, the U.S. Air Force and the U.S. Space Force, one Air Force Major Command, and three Space Force Field Commands, plus three combatant commands. Now, with all that responsibility under your umbrella, can you tell us a little bit about the history of Region 8 and about its significant evolution in the last few years since its inception back in October of 1999?
Yeah, absolutely, Wayne. So as you and many of your listeners are very much aware, we in OSI have aligned our regions primarily to provide better support to the Air Force major commands.
Mm-hmm.
And so in our history here at Region 8, for the majority of its existence, we have been aligned to provide tailored and direct criminal investigative and counterintelligence support to two major commands. That was Air Force Global Strike Command and Air Force Space Command.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the last few years, Air Force Space Command, just a few years ago, it became the kernel from which United States Space Force was born.
Right.
And so when you ask the question about, significant evolution in just the last few years, on one side of our portfolio with our senior customer, we went from serving Air Force Space Command as a MAGCOM to reposturing to provide support to our nation's newest service, Space
Mm-hmm.
Force.
Right.
And then Wayne, at the same time, about the same time that the U.S. Space Force was standing up, also we saw on the other side of our portfolio, on the global strike side, a once-in-a-generation evolution taking place there as well,
Mm-hmm.
where we saw on Air Force Global Strike, they were, for the first time in decades, posturing, preparing, and stepping out to replace all of our nation's ICBMs across all locations where we have them,
Mm-hmm.
as well as to introduce into the Air Force's inventory the next generation strategic bomber, B-21.
Wow.
So as you well noted there, a lot of evolution going on in our region here within the last few years to make sure that we're properly postured and able to provide the support to the newest service of our armed forces and a very rapidly evolving global strike command.
And with that kind of portfolio or a dual portfolio, as you mentioned, Colonel, a lot of responsibility going with that. And with that evolution underway across Region 8, with the responsibility, I would imagine accompanied with it would be some pretty significant challenges that your eclectic region has had to face. Now, how have they been addressed over the years?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had a number of challenges. Unfortunately, we've been able to face those challenges first with just amazing men and women here at Region 8.
Mm-hmm.
Extremely knowledgeable. When I came here, Wayne, just a few years ago,
Right.
I had a very, very steep learning curve. I had spent many years overseas, and so coming here to Region 8, I had a lot to learn, both on the global strike side of things, understanding how we as a command and Region 8 in particular protect two legs of our nation's nuclear triad,
Right.
The ICBMs and strategic bombers, but even more so on the space side. So one of the challenges was just making sure that we had the knowledge, we understood the evolution that was taking place on both the Space Force side and the global strike side, so that we could make the changes we need to.
Hmm.
Now, we were very fortunate that we had the 100% support of our headquarters of the center. I know you've already interviewed Chief Veltri from the center, but
Right.
just amazing support from our senior leaders, from the center, and from our Office of Special Projects, because much of what we do in Region 8 is highly technical and highly classified.
Sure.
So, in overcoming some of these challenges that we had to face, as far as making sure that we're properly postured and resourced, it was working hand in hand with leaders from even outside of our region to to have them help us get the knowledge, the resources, the right people into the right places. And so it has been quite a heavy lift, but I can tell you, Wayne, that we've been fortunate with the people that we have and the support that we've received externally to make the changes that we've needed to make.
Well, it sounds like, Colonel, that partnerships have played a major role in the seamless evolution of Region 8. Is that a pretty fair assessment?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, with one of our closest partners, and that's the Office of Special Projects, I would say it's been groundbreaking.
Hmm.
The relationship within our own organization has just deepened to a level that I, in 25 years of being an OSI now, have never seen before.
Uh-huh.
And we're extremely appreciative of just the external support and partnership that has helped us make the changes that we need to and to be successful.
Yeah, it's always great to have a nice seamless transition, I guess, and that's always a good thing. And from your chair as the commander of Region 8, I would imagine that makes your job very gratifying to see that happen like that.
Oh, it absolutely does. Just in these, well, what will be short years, they haven't always seemed short, but
Right.
in the 3 years of being here, just the amount of transformation and positive growth and moving in the right direction so that we as a command
Hmm.
can do what we need to do to protect these critical parts of our Department of Defense. It's been absolutely awesome to see and be a part of.
Sure. Now, Colonel, you mentioned growth a second ago. Region 8 has two of the command's newly established national security detachments. Can you give us kind of a thumbnail sketch about these new units and the missions that they're executing these days?
Yeah, sure. So the national security detachments were envisioned by some of our past and current senior leaders that we
Hmm.
have in the command.
Right.
And what they recognize is that we in OSI have done a very good job over our entire history, really, of protecting the Air Force's critical technologies and critical programs. But what we have found over time is that where the adversary is focusing much of their attention is on the critical technologies and programs of tomorrow.
Hmm.
They're actually targeting academia and the private sector, identifying what will be critical to our national defense, what we will deem critical to our Air Force, our Space Force tomorrow. And they see that as the soft underbelly which they can then focus on.
Hmm.
And so, again, because of the great foresight of our senior leaders in the command, we realized that we needed to start to get a term we use, left of theft. We needed to start moving further left to protect what will be tomorrow's critical technologies, tomorrow's critical programs.
Uh-huh.
So we set up these new types of detachments in these centers of gravity where academia is working on the problems of tomorrow,
Uh-huh.
where these companies in the private sector are building capabilities and technologies that will be critical to us not only today but tomorrow. And we set these national security detachments up in such a way that we could operate with partners in this very complex mission space that the adversary has been working in for some time now,
Hmm.
so that we could identify them and ultimately neutralize their nefarious efforts.
I see. Now, Colonel, with technology changing so rapidly these days, no matter where you look, I guess your head almost has to be on a swivel, I guess, to keep up with things. So, would that create a daunting task for the national security detachments?
Yes, it does. But I will tell you again, when we talk about partnerships and just the great people we have in this command, we're not doing this alone.
Right,
We have
right.
two of these national security detachments in Region 8, one here in Colorado and one in Silicon Valley in California.
Hmm.
We have others around the nation. But to get to your point, Wayne, we have an amazing team in the Center Tech Protect Directorate
Right.
that helps us understand where we need to focus our efforts. Because you're absolutely right. With technology changing as quickly as it is, we have to know where to target our high demand, low density weapon system, our professionals of OSI, to make sure that we are as efficient and effective as possible. And we can only do that through the great work of the partnerships that we have with the center and the amazing agents and analysts and pro staff that make our mission happen.
And sir, as you just mentioned earlier, you have to stay left of all these things and try to be one step ahead of the adversary to, really keep what we do, in the United States and within our military, one step ahead of the bad guys, I guess.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct, and it's a never-ending effort. As the adversary changes, its tactics and targets, we must do so also, and that's not a static target. It's ever moving, and we have to constantly refocus and reposture to meet the needs of tomorrow.
Right. Now, Colonel, you mentioned the great people within Region 8. Uh, let's take a look at some of the significant contributors to Region 8's success through the years. Granted, the inception of Region 8, was back in 1999, but I would imagine that the list is pretty long and distinguished as far as folks within the region, both past and present, who have made really significant contributions.
Yeah, yes, you're absolutely correct. And although there have been other regions that have been around longer than ours,
Hmm.
you are correct. And that is, we have had a number of amazing leaders who have laid the foundations for the successes both of yesterday and even into the successes that we're having today. And it's what's interesting is that right now, three of our most senior OSI leaders in the command,
Hmm.
all were leaders, senior leaders here at Region 8.
Wow.
First and foremost is Brigadier General Select Bumgardner, who
Right.
is going to be our next OSI commander.
Hmm.
Chief Greg Gow,
Right.
who is our command chief, and most recently named as our OSI's executive director, Miss Pearl Munt.
Right.
So all three of these senior leaders, who are actually now will be our top three leaders of OSI, all came here at one point. They led here at Region 8, and again, I can't stress enough. They helped. They laid the foundation upon which the successes we are experiencing today are founded.
Right. Sounds like three very successful Region 8 stories, Colonel. No doubt that Region 8 has spawned some pretty amazing folks. No doubt about that.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, if you could, Colonel, if you could put on your, or not put on, but check out your crystal ball a little bit, how would you characterize the future of Region 8, having been the commander there for the last few years?
Yeah, I would say Region 8, and every region grows as needed and necessary to meet the demands and to serve the customers that they serve. I would say, though, just with the unique portfolio that we have, especially on the space side right now, I would kind of characterize our future as ever changing, ever evolving, and at a very, very rapid pace. As you and others, I'm sure, see in the news every day where Space Force is going, how rapidly it is growing and evolving and changing. And we here at Region 8 are working very hard to make sure that we're making the appropriate changes to be able to provide the support to this new service as well. So I would say that the future is going to see a Region 8 that is even more invested in the all things associated with Space Force. And a lot of people don't realize that, when I say that we support Space Force, this is not about agents going to space. All right, we're not running investigations,
Right.
on orbit or anything. But
Sure.
this is making sure that everything that makes space happen, and the motto, as you walk across the street to all of these field commands is never a day without space.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because everything we do in the Department of Defense and globally is affected by space capabilities.
Hmm.
But what I think you'll see is a different Region 8, even in these coming years, as we reposture to make sure that we are protecting all of the terrestrial based infrastructure and capabilities that make space happen.
Right.
And it's a big job, and we're mapping that out now. We're working with the center. We're working with other regions because it's not all in our region. We happen to have the lion's share of it, but it's the space infrastructure that makes what we do there possible is
Uh-huh.
global.
I see.
And so working with our other regions, the center, to make sure that we're postured properly to support Space Force is absolutely critical.
I see. Very well said. Now, Colonel Miller, before we wrap things up today, is there anything else you'd like to add about being part of OSI's 75th anniversary observance this year?
I'd just like to say I'm very honored to be here at this time. I actually came into OSI 25 years ago.
Wow.
And so I came in straight from, I was a direct commission into the Air Force and came right into OSI. So
Uh-huh.
I've known nothing but OSI for the last 25 years, and it is my family. But what I think is really awesome for me personally is when I came into OSI as a brand new lieutenant. One of my first additional duty tasks was to help organize a gala for the 50th anniversary
Oh,
of OSI.
wow. That's great.
So it's pretty wonderful that I'm able to experience this now, 25 years later, having come in and to celebrate our 50th anniversary, and now still being here, still able to serve in the command that I love, 25 years later, so that we can celebrate this this historic milestone for our command. So I just say I'm very proud to be part of this family and part of this team, and I feel honored to be here.
Well said, Colonel. Our guest has been Colonel Seth Miller, the commander of OSI's 8th Field Investigations Region. Colonel, thanks again for taking the time to be with us. Always great to chat with you.
Thank you very much, Wayne. Have a great day.
And thanks to all of you listening for tuning in. For OSI Today, I'm Wayne Amon saying so long for now.